Hello, hello. Um, Good morning, afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. My name is Axel from Good Speaking English. Um, and I'm doing a live today. Yay. um, a little live lesson about, connected to the article that I'm currently talking about in conversational classes. So, if you're into talking about things, you might know or you might have noticed that every now and then I share an article. Um, I can hear every now and then I share an article. And based on that article, I prepare a bunch of material, things to talk about, things that I can use with students to get talking about either that topic or about the article specifically or the topics addressed in the article. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, I'm actually having a sale right now on conversational classes, which is really exciting. I'm having a spring sale. So until the end of April, you can get up to 20% off packs of article-based classes. So either the conversational classes, those are the ones where you can practice speaking, get some corrections, feedback from myself. They're a little bit more relaxed, a little bit less structured, or you can upgrade them and you can do them as lessons instead, with a little bit more of a focus on the vocabulary, the grammar in the article, and also too during lessons I'm able to really work with students to help them fix things such as their pronunciation, fossilized errors, grammar, those sort of things. Also during lessons, I also assign homework tasks as well. So I can do homework tasks to work on pronunciation, fixing fossilized errors, things like that. Or also to get writing feedback. To give writing feedback to students. So if you're looking for that sort of thing, something a little bit more in-depth, lessons are possible as well. But the conversation classes are also great. And all of the classes have videos afterwards. You can review them. So if you want to get in touch with me about the article-based classes, if you want to get talking about this topic about being bad at hobbies, you can send me an email at goodspiekingenglish@gmail.com, or you can send me a message on Telegram, because Telegram is the place that I hang out the most. And just mention spring sale in your message, because I get a lot of spam on Telegram. So let me know that you're a real person. Say something a little bit more elaborate than hi. Mention spring sale if you would like to take advantage of this sale in particular. Or if you want to talk about hobbies, if you want to talk about this topic in particular, you can also message me. Set up here. You can also message me and mention being bad at hobbies if you want to talk specifically about this topic here. Anyways, so the other, I think it was last week, I went through and I read this article talking about the vocabulary, phrases, and things like that. So today what we're going to do is we're gonna do this. We're gonna think about part 1 of the speaking paper at the V2 first and the C1 advanced exam. We're gonna look at some vocabulary, useful vocabulary for doing that task, useful vocabulary for talking about hobbies. And yeah, we're gonna go from there. So hopefully we're gonna learn some great phrases and things like that from each other. You'll be able to participate as well. You'll be able to throw out your comments. I'm live right now on Facebook and YouTube, so I will be able to see you. I will be able to read you there. So as we go along, if you want to practice using some of our new vocabulary, that would be great. I'll try to remember to ask some questions. These lessons have been a little quiet, so less interactive than I'd like, but that's fine. Anyways, just a heads up that this lesson is aimed at preparing students for the B2 first or the C1 advanced Cambridge exams. However, a lot of the words and phrases and things like that that we're going to discuss today will also be helpful for exams such as the IELTS exam or a TOEFL exam. Any sort of general English exam as well. I know that sometimes I have students that are doing exams hit their country and things like that. So anything for like sort of general English, or if you just want to reach an upper intermediate to an advanced level with your English. And sometimes too, I even have, students like proficient who are looking to do their proficient, their C2 level certificate. So even you guys are welcome here as well. So what are we going to do? We are going to do a warm-up. Actually, we're not. This is a lie. I mean, we're going to look at some phrases, actually, for, we're going to talk a little bit about, how to answer a part 1 question. Actually, that's what we're going to do. And we're going to look at some vocabulary and phrases for talking about, how to talk about the hobby question. Actually, that's what we're gonna do. And then I have a couple questions that we can look at together. Maybe we can brainstorm some answers for some model answers. And then afterwards, as usual, this is live, so this lesson will remain on YouTube for the rest of eternity. And I'm also going to upload the video. I'm also going to upload the notes on YouTube. Make a little PDF of that, so you'll be able to download them. And also too, if you didn't check out everything in here, all the ideas and things like that in here are related to this article. So if you're looking for even more vocabulary, phrases, ideas, we're talking about hobbies, be sure to check out this this article here, The Joy of Mediocrity. We need hobbies. We need hobbies even if we are bad at them, to free us from perfection. And like I said, I read that the other day as well. So you can go back to that video, review the phrases and everything. So like I said, we're looking at part 1 of the speaking paper of the B2 first and the C1 advanced exam. So if you are not aware, I should say, those exams are done with a partner, so not like with another candidate. So for part of the exam, you will be conversing with the other candidate. However, in part 1, you do not interact with the other candidate at that time. So they're really just questions like between like yourself and the examiner. And they're sort of little warm-up questions. They're kind of easy-ish ones, right? They tend to be questions about you, about your likes, your preferences, things that you do, things that are sort of like in your world, basically. And then as the exam sort of progresses, the topics get a little bit more like abstract and things like that, like talking about maybe like how the rest of the world is and how other people might think, what they might do, that sort of thing. But part 1 in general is more about like you, your life, that sort of thing. And one really kind of important thing here is we never want to want to just say yes or no at this point. We never want to give a one-word answer. Okay, so it might be tempting to be like what do you do in your free time? It might be tempting to say play video games or something. I know that was a 2-word answer, but I'm just saying that we want to give a little bit more. We want to say a little bit more with our answer. So we always want to expand a little bit and make sure that we are showing off our skills, because that is important for an English exam, right? So, and I know that can be hard, especially if you are if you're naturally kind of a quiet type. I know I'm kind of pretty quiet, kind of introverted. It can be hard for me to want to say more sometimes, but we should try and show off our skills a little bit. So we want to make sure that we're going to answer the question directly, but also just add a little bit of extra information, right? So the answers shouldn't be too short, right? So again, some examples of bad answers. If the question was, what do you like to do in your free time? A bad answer might be, saying nothing. Some people are like that. Oh, I don't do anything, nothing, right? Or some people may be like a lot of things, right? Without really saying anything else, right? Also too, one simple sentence also is too short. For example, saying, oh, I really like reading, right? That doesn't really give them much to go on when it comes to evaluating your English. And so we want to give them a little bit more. On the other hand, though, we really only have a short amount of time. So you don't want to go too long either. You know, because there's the other candidate, right? We want to make sure that everybody gets their turn to speak. So really anything more than 3 or 4 sentences is too much. So we want to take, you know, maybe 10, 15 seconds, maybe 20 seconds, like the max, maybe. But yeah, around that range. So that's enough to say maybe like 1 or 2 things about whatever you're talking about, and sort of wrap up your question, right? Another important thing too, because sometimes people go off topic. We don't want to go off topic. We want to make sure that we are staying on topic. Another very important thing. So don't go off topic, stay on topic. Make sure your answers, you know, are not too long, but also make sure that they are not too short. So when it comes, so another thing too, I want to say too, when it comes to sometimes questions like hobbies and interests and things like that, some students might be tempted to just list things. Sometimes, you know, you might get a question, right? Like, what do you do in your free time? Here, for example, I like to watch TV and I like to visit my friends. I also like to play sports and I like going to the movies. You know, it can be common to approach these questions by just basically listing things that you know about a topic and just going on and on and on and on and on. Unfortunately, those are not very strong answers. Why are they not strong answers? Well, they become a little bit repetitive, right? We can see here, like, I like, right? It gets a little bit repetitive, right? And because it's repetitive, it doesn't necessarily show off your capabilities with English, right? Another thing too, right? Like, if we're just listing ideas, we might run out of ideas as well, which also is not great. I know in part 1 that is like less of a big deal because you don't really have a lot of time to talk. But you know, in a part 4 question, or on the IELTS exam, for example, you know, if you have to sort of fill a little bit more of the time, right? So so it's a lot better to just answer the question directly and just expand on whatever your answer is, typically by either maybe giving a reason or an example, something like that. So some ideas about how we could do that include, you know, adding reasons for why we might do something. So here, for example, my favorite pastime is video gaming because I get to spend time with my friends after work and it gives me a reason to unwind. I mean, that is a great answer. We've, you know, we've answered it directly. No weird little intros or anything like that, but we answered it directly. And then we were able to show off some of our skills by explaining why we like doing it. So I get to spend time, a great little collocation there with my friends after work. It gives me a reason to unwind. Another great little word in there too about relaxing. All right, but we could also add a but too to add more information, right? So here, for example, right now I don't have a lot of free time, but when I can, I love to go mountain biking on the trails near my house. So that is another way that we can sort of expand on our answers. So so in here too, right, like this person can't even necessarily answer the question, right? They're like, well, I don't really have time for hobbies right now. But then they went on to like ask about what they would do if they did have time, if they did have free time. So that is a good strategy for answering this question. A good strategy, especially if you don't know what to, if something personally isn't something you do, you can always think about, well, what would I do, or what maybe somebody else would do. So that's kind of a great strategy for answering a question if you if you personally don't really have an opinion about it. Answering, also extending your answers, right, with an also and an and. So here we go, like right now, I really like listening to music, and I also like to play guitar and write my own songs when I can. I mean, so we can add additional things here, right? So we can see this person really likes music, right? They like music, and then they've also mentioned other sort of musical related things that they do. So that's kind of an interesting, a great way to do it. And also too, we could make it a comparison. That's sort of another approach you could do. So for example, you could talk about something that you used to do. So a hobby that you did at one point in the past that you no longer do now, and you compare it to what you do now. So here we go. Right now, whenever I have free time, I like to exercise. So I currently do this. But in the past, I used to play soccer. So another kind of great little strategy for extending your answer, if you're comparing it to something that you used to do that you no longer do now. Or maybe you could compare it to maybe something that you would like to do in the future, for example. Maybe what other people do. Anyway, some ideas there about how we can expand on these answers without just listing things. So I don't know if we have people here in the chat, but if we do, I would love to see your examples if you might have, if you might want to try answering this question. What do you like to do in your free time? And use one of these techniques. That would be really great. So maybe I'll give like a minute, see if anybody wants to write something. So if you would like to write something, if you would like to give an example, I will put it up into our notes. We could do a little bit of a quick correction here, and do it that way. I suppose too, I could think of my own examples as well. But I really love when people, I really like when people participate. I'm trying to think of what one of my favorite hobbies are. Like, one of my favorite hobbies is right now. All right, what am I doing right now? Like lately, I'm doing a lot of yoga, actually. I enjoy watching videos on YouTube and chatting with my friends. Great. Yeah, definitely. That sounds really great. Exactly. So enjoy watching videos on YouTube and chatting with my friends. Yeah. Why do you like watching videos on YouTube? So that probably would be a better one. So giving the reason for why you do what you like to do. So I enjoy watching videos on YouTube, maybe because they are informative and I learn a lot of things from them, or maybe because they find them sort of funny. Maybe you watch funny videos and things like that, and that lets me relax, something like that. I was gonna say lately I'm doing a lot of yoga. Because it relaxes my mind after a long day, and it is a really great form of exercise. So that's what I've been doing lately. Giving some like a reason there. So potentially that. If you have another idea, let's try to think of one maybe with using a butt, actually. Wouldn't that be great? Let's try to use something with like a butt. YouTube can be very helpful. For example, your video just showed up a minute ago and I liked it a lot. Okay, that's really great. Fantastic. Yeah. Really great. So perfect. Yeah, so great ideas. Exactly. Could be very helpful, for example. Right. Trying to think of an example here with a butt, actually. So I'm gonna continue with the yoga ideas. So So lately, I'm doing a lot of yoga, but I also enjoy running as well, and I go whenever the weather is nice. There's an example with a but, right? So another way that we can add an additional idea and expand on our answers. If you want to try but, that'd be great as well. Yeah, great answers. I'm trying to think too, maybe one with a comparison. It might be nice to get some examples with a comparison as well too. I'm gonna go back to my my yoga theme. So these days I do a lot of yoga in my free time. But in the past I used to go biking a lot with my friends. So there we go, a comparison there. So again, something comparing what I do now to things that I used to do about the same topic in the past. So just some ideas about how we can expand on this question without just like listing all of the little activities we enjoy doing. So this is a lot more interesting. These answers are a lot more interesting. They're a lot more engaging. They give the examiner, it shows that you're capable of using different structures when we are speaking English, as opposed to just listening things like, oh, well, I like to do yoga, and I like to read, and I like to watch YouTube, and I like to... So that all gets really repetitive. Anyways, yeah, so some great things. So let's think maybe about some vocabulary, maybe other ways for answering this question. So right, so we're gonna think about how to answer the question, expand by giving a reason, I think, and then we're gonna give an example. But yeah, so some phrases for answering the question directly, because I wanted to give you guys some maybe more advanced ways for doing it. So because it's easy to just be like, oh, I like something. Oh, I used to waste so much time watching meaningless videos, but now I'm aware which content is good for me. Yeah, that is a great comparison, actually. Yes, you used to waste a lot of time, but now you are a lot more aware you are consuming content that is beneficial to you in your life and you are benefiting from it. Okay, that's really fantastic. Yeah. Great. Yeah, so let's look at some of these phrases and maybe let's make some let's make some examples using some of these too. So so an alternative to being like, well, I like, right? We could say that I'm into something. So, and that's a bit more like informal. I'm really into, I'm really into bird watching. Do people bird watch? I'm really into bird watching, but that means that you really like something, basically. So that's definitely one thing that we can say. A little bit more interesting than just being like, well, I like something, but I'm really into bird watching or hiking or whatever. We know enjoy too, right? I really enjoy doing something. Be aware that enjoy gets followed by the ing form of another verb. We don't say I really enjoy to something. We say I really enjoy doing something. So really important that we get those that form correct. That's a really basic one. But I spend a lot of time, and again, having an ing form there. I spend a lot of time reading, drawing, playing music, etc., etc. Great little collocation here. We spend time. Sometimes I hear people say like, I mean, you could say like a pastime, but we would say spend time. Usually spend time, spend money, that sort of thing. So important to get those collocations correct. Also, we can say that you're passionate about something, as in you really love something. And again, here you're passionate about something, and because there's this preposition here, right? We also want to be using that ing form if it's followed by a verb. But yeah, passionate about woodworking or calligraphy. You'd be passionate about reading mystery novels, for example, or really passionate about watching scary movies. So again, you know, getting those forms, making sure that we have the INGs in the right spot, really important. Or we could also talk about trying to learn something. So that's like another way too, right? You know, maybe we're not, maybe we have something that we want to do, but we're not there, but we're not quite there yet. So maybe I've been learning how to bake bread or sketch. See here too that I've used the present perfect continuous, right? So talking about something that I started doing in the past, and now we're sort of, because learning is an ongoing process, right? Usually you learn something, you try something, is a little bit temporary, right? So so I've implied that I've started in the past, continues on right now, and then it's gonna kind of keep on going. So I've been learning how to bake bread or draw recently, or I've been learning how to sew. People sew. So what they do. But we can also talk about, you know, how I'd like to get better at something. So we talk about getting good, to get good or get better at something. Basically to become better, become good. So I'd like to get better at playing the piano or maybe climbing. I've just started getting into ceramics or trail running or something like that. So if we get into something, before we said I'm really into something, right? Meaning that you really like it. Well, here, if you get into something, that's like that initial process. So you're trying to become a fan, or you're trying to learn how to do one of these things. So that's another great little collocation or little phrase as well too. So you're getting into something, you know, I'm really getting into this book, for example, or I'm really, you know, I took up cooking classes and I'm starting to really get into it. I'm starting to really like it. So kind of a great little phrase there. And obviously too, we can say that we're still a beginner about something, but I'm enjoying it. So if you have an example using some of these. Sorry, teacher, I got to go. I will watch your video later. All right, perfect. Well, thanks for coming by. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your little answers. Have a good one. All right, bye. I'm gonna think of some examples, maybe. Have a really great day. Think of some examples. So I'm really into, yeah, I'm gonna go back to the yoga thing. Maybe I'll go back to the yoga idea because that's what's on my mind lately. So I'm really into yoga right now. So I'm really loving it, really digging it. I'm really into yoga right now, and I've been learning how to do a lot of new hard poses lately. Maybe something like that. So we could definitely combine them, right? So really into yoga right now, really liking it. Now we're talking about something I'm learning specifically for this hobby. So that's kind of a great idea. So I've been learning how to do a lot of hard poses lately, you know. So kind of an idea. You know, I'm still you know, I'm still a beginner. Actually, I'm not, but I could be a beginner. We always feel a beginner, I think, at some point. I'm still maybe learning a lot of things but I'd like to get better at it. So actually, I think I might just made my answer like too long. But just an idea. Let's think of another, maybe another hobby. Another hobby that would be really great. You know, let's see, what do we do? I really enjoy cooking, and I spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos about it. How about that? About it. I'd like to get better at some recipes. So I watch maybe good content creators about food. Maybe something like that. Anyways, just some ideas, right? So I really enjoy cooking and spend a lot of time watching YouTube videos. So spend a lot of time doing something, right? So I'd like to get better. Obviously, we always want to improve. Yeah, so some ideas. We could also talk about how long we've been doing something, or maybe how often we've been doing something, right? So recently I've taken up, you know, photography or knitting. Recently I've taken up, we say to take up a hobby, right? Which just basically means that you decide that you are going to practice that hobby on an ongoing basis. So to take up a hobby means to decide to practice a hobby, learn and practice a new hobby, do a new hobby on an ongoing basis. So another great little collocation there, like phrase that we'd say, to take up a hobby. So recently I've taken up hobby. Actually, I don't know why this is bold. Recently. Recently is our time word, not this one. But recently, so something happened recently within you know, a short period of time ago, right? Or maybe we could say that we've been doing it for years. Either way, we notice how to. I've used present perfect here as well. Present perfect continuous here, right? Implying that, you know, it started in the past, continues up to this point, and it's gonna keep going, right? So I've been doing it for years. I've been doing it for a really long time. I am a pro at this point. We might also say, you know, how often something happens, right? So using those adverbs, those adverbs of frequency, or there's phrases of frequency, right? Maybe I do it every week, a few times a month, a few times a month. Or I try to do it whenever I get the chance. This is a great little phrase here. Great little collocation. Whenever I get the chance, implying that if I have free time, I'm going to do that hobby. So whenever I get the chance, whenever I get the moment to do it. Yeah, we could use this phrase too, great in other contexts as well too. You know, I will call you later when I get the chance, or whenever I get the chance, when I have some free time, I will call you. So whenever I get the chance, I will do that. So great little phrase there. I don't have much time for it these days. Oh, what is it? I don't have much time. I did a bad job with my folding. I was kind of tired putting together these slides yesterday. So I don't have much time. We don't have much time for it. We don't have much time. Collocation, or the words though, it's not like many time. I don't have many time. It's always much time. Or I don't have a lot of time. Those words collocate. Much time. We would use many for, you know, I did something many times. The difference between, oops. The difference between time here and time here. This here, we're talking about like time, seconds, minutes, the duration of things. First two, you know, hours, minutes, things like that. Whereas here, time has to do, did something many times. Here, time refers to like repeating something, repetition. So that's kind of the difference here. I did it many times. So I don't have much time for it these days. And then two, let's see. I used to play guitar, maybe go running more often. So I used to do it more frequently than I do now. Yeah, I did the worst job highlighting these. Anyways, you get the idea. Yeah, so let's think about maybe frequency. Let's think of frequency, or how long or how often we've done our hobby. I'm going to go back to talking about yoga, I guess. So, yeah, so lately, these days, I do a lot of yoga. So these days I do a lot of yoga. These days I do a lot of yoga. I practice it several times a week. So several times a week. Basically, whenever I get the chance. Interesting that I threw the word basically in here. So I use like basically if I want to just underline, like underscore, what essentially happens with something. So I practice it several times a week. Basically, whenever I get the chance. I feel like I didn't explain that one. This is a good little phrase though, or little word. Basically, okay, yeah, so referring to like the it's basically like a feature or something like that, but essentially whenever I can, that would be another word we could say here, but basically whenever I get the chance. So so just basically underscoring like how often I do it. So practice it several times a week, basically whenever I get a chance. So that could be one thing, right? And I've been doing it for maybe 7 years now. Something like that. So again, implying that I started yoga 7 years ago. I've done it from that point up to this point, and I'm going to continue that activity into the future. So using the present perfect continuous here. Let's think of another one. I used to be a musician. Let's talk about that. So, let me think here. So these days, or lately, or how about recently? I feel like I'm getting repetitive. Recently, I've been singing a lot. There we go. I used to play a lot of instruments when I was younger, and then I stopped. Now this is not a good one. Now I'm singing often again, so doing it a lot again. Yeah, it's been a nice hobby to take up, or maybe to get back into. I know I don't have that on here, but if we get back into a hobby, that means that you did a hobby, you stopped it, and now you're going to do it again. So to get back into something. To do something that you did in the past, but stopped doing for a while. So that's kind of another really great one as well. So some ideas there. Let's see what else we could do here. Let's talk about why we do the hobbies. Like, why do we like doing something? We can talk about maybe like our enjoyment, like express the enjoyment, or maybe the passion that we have about something, you know. I love yoga. It's something that I'm deeply invested in. So something that maybe I spend a lot of time, energy, something I really care about. If you're invested in something, you're very like care about it a lot, you worry about it a lot, you think about it a lot. Maybe you find it incredibly rewarding, as in there is sort of like a payoff that you get. So yeah, so if you find something incredibly rewarding, you find that the benefits, the benefits are really great, so you get a lot out of those benefits. You might also say something is a labor of love. So a labor of love, that's kind of an interesting collocation, or basically a little, I guess it's like a little idiom, isn't it? But basically it's something that you do, usually it's something hard, something difficult, but you do it because you really enjoy it. And you do it because you really enjoy it, and not for like monetary reasons or stuff like that. Sometimes for, you know, for example, maybe, you know, maybe you spend a lot of time remodeling. Let's say remodeling your kitchen. That doesn't make sense. Maybe, you spend a lot of time detailing your car, like, working on your car or something like that. That could be a labor of love. You know, it's a lot of time, effort, money, things of that nature, but you do it because you really love it. And it doesn't bring you any money or anything like that, right? Maybe people would bake food, things like that, because it's a labor of love. But that could be something. And two, we could talk about why we do something. Maybe it's a great way to disconnect from the daily grind. So another great little collocation here, the daily grind. What the heck is the daily grind? You know, having to get up, get ready, go to work, work there, have lunch, do more work, come home, like that sort of like that same thing, doing the same thing every single day to just earn a living, make money, right? So if we disconnect, if we can kind of like shut that off and we can relax for a bit, we can like dislocate, or if we could disconnect from it. So you disconnect from like the daily grind, the repetitive thing of life. Maybe it's a way of recharging my batteries. So another thing that we would say too, right? Batteries being sort of like your energy level, the level of energy that you have. So, you know, you get tired, right? And that depletes your energy, as in it uses up your energy. So you use something up, so it goes away, right? So we might need to recharge our batteries. In this case, we mean we need to rest so we can get our energy back for the future. So it's a way of recharging my batteries, a way of relaxing, essentially, getting my energy back so I can go back out into the real world and tackle everything. Maybe it helps you stay grounded and present. This is sort of some mindfulness language here. But if you're grounded, again, just helping you feel connected to the earth, maybe helps you deal with stress, right? Because it can be easy to get caught up with stress, right? And just kind of like lose yourself, right? If we're grounded instead, or if we are present, we're kind of living in the moment, so that can help, right? So that's kind of good. I do it to unwind and decompress. So unwind, again, another just a way to say to relax, right? And similar to decompress, basically just get rid of your stress, basically, right? Because when you're stressed, you feel like really tight, maybe you feel very maybe anxious, just to have all these negative feelings, right? So you can decompress, you can let all of that go. That's what it means to decompress. Or maybe we do something because it keeps you mentally stimulated. So what does that mean? If you stimulate something, you kind of do something to cause it to react, right? So anything mentally has to do with your brain, right? So basically, I want to do something to keep me mentally stimulated. Means that I do something because I want to keep my mind active. I want to keep my mind busy. So it keeps me mentally stimulated. So again, so let's try to think of maybe an example sentence or two with using some of these phrases. I guess I'm gonna go back to my yoga example. So, let's see here. So, these days, I'm been doing a lot of yoga. It really lets me disconnect from the daily grind and recharge my batteries after a long day. I find it incredibly rewarding and relaxing. There we go. So that's kind of one example, maybe using a couple of these phrases. Maybe YouTube, since we were talking about YouTube videos a little bit earlier. So like lately I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos. You know, they keep me mentally stimulated because I watch ones with really interesting content. Yeah, maybe there are some content creators who I'm deeply invested in, and I love watching what they produce. Maybe something like that. Maybe. So there we go. I got a couple of these examples in here. So the YouTube videos keeping me mentally stimulated, so our mind's active, right? Because I watch ones with really interesting content, maybe about, I don't know, channels that I find really interesting. Some content creators, so content creators are people who make videos on YouTube or social media, also content on social media, who I'm deeply invested in. So I follow them a lot. I watch them, I follow them a lot, really interested to see what they do next. So if we're invested in them that way, we care about them a lot. So there's some content creators who I'm deeply invested in, and I love watching what they produce, because we would produce videos or produce content. Exactly. Anyways, yeah, so some great ideas. Great little ideas here. I hope you guys enjoyed these little phrases for talking about this. And I hope that they've been really helpful. So, yeah. So again, you know, if you have like if you're watching this after, you want to add some more examples into the comments. I love when people comment. So feel free to add them there. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put together this information, all the notes together, so you guys can all have that afterwards as a resource, and you can watch this video again and learn some of this vocabulary. And again, if you're looking to, if you would like to practice some of these phrases, I would be more than happy to practice with you. Like I said, I'm having the sale on conversational classes. So again, until April. So until the end of April, you can save up to 20% on packs of article-based classes. And so, for example, talking about this topic and talking about this article here. So if that interests you, go ahead. You can send me an email, godspeakingenglish@gmail.com, or you can send me a message on Telegram, because I love Telegram. That's the best place to get a hold of me. And just mention spring sale in your message. Okay, anyways, I hope this was helpful, and I will see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to be back tomorrow for a coffee and crossword stream. So that is going to happen tomorrow at 1300 UTC. I always worry I got that wrong, but yeah, 1300 UTC. Going to be doing another crossword. So come back with me. You can play on YouTube, or you can watch it on Facebook and Twitch. But come back, help me with a crossword tomorrow. Really appreciate it. And I look forward to doing the crossword with you guys tomorrow. All right, anyways. Have a good day, everybody. And I will see you guys next time. All right, bye.